Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Brandon here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is James, and he's selling his Amazon FBA and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. So welcome to the show, James, and how are you doing today?
Hey Brandon, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Just another day in paradise here outside of London.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really great to hear you're doing good, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this business you've created as well. But before we get into the details of the business, let's give a general overview. So it is an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business in the apparel and accessories niche created in March 2015. The average monthly revenue for the business is $26,835 and makes an average of $5,416 per month in net profit. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 52693 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that I've given a general overview of the business, what's included in the sale is the Amazon Seller Central account with 80 SKUs, which equate to 38 products, the domain and all site content and files, a trademark, social media accounts for Facebook and Instagram, supplier relationships, and it is worth noting that inventory is not normally included in the list price, and further details can be provided to active buyers. So, James, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, sure. I kind of came about it in a completely different manner than most. In 2012, I quit my job in selling corporate insurance when I lived in Dubai, and I just wanted something to do and create on my own. And because I had experience living in China for several years, I felt quite comfortable dealing with different, Chinese factories and sourcing products. So I always kind of had that in the back of my mind that I wanted to start a product-based business, but I didn't really know how to go about it. And then just kind of out of the blue, a friend of mine texted me and we started emailing back and forth about buying kind of distressed goods from different warehouses. So either stuff that they were discontinuing or, returns that they had. So we would buy it in bulk. So we each laid out a little bit of money up front and we bought quite a few oven range hoods. We didn't end up knowing how to sell them. We tried to go around to different kitchen appliance stores and sell the products we had, and we just had no success. So we started an eBay page and we started selling them on eBay. And all of a sudden, we were selling 1, 2, 3, 4, even up to 5 a day. So from there, we said, okay, well, if eBay works, let's do it on Amazon. Well, Amazon started selling even more than eBay. And it just kind of snowballed. And that's what sent me kind of the message saying this is something that you can do. And so instead of going out and buying distressed goods and constantly having to figure out what your next product was, I just decided to go make my own. So I went to a Canton Fair in China, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's amazing. So you already kind of dabbled a little bit with sourcing products from suppliers in China and figuring out, this is a great way to make money selling on these other platforms and then really selling a lot on Amazon. So that's really awesome. Now, would you say that Amazon generates the majority of the revenue for this business, considering that it is FBA and e-commerce?
Yes, Amazon is about 99% of our business. It's 99% plus. We have a website that you'll get people going to every once in a while. I think some people like to find a product on Amazon and then they'll Google your website and see if they can't maybe find a better price, which they can't. Our Amazon price is the same as on our website, but some people end up ordering from the website, but it's really makes such a small majority. It's not particularly relevant to the business.
So where did you end up getting the idea to start selling products within the apparel and accessories niche? Was there something during your research phase of locating products that you saw as a golden opportunity, or did someone kind of tip you off and saying, hey, maybe you should try these particular items?
Sure. Well, it is in the sporting and outdoor category, and I'm an avid runner myself. So I kind of spotted what I thought was a gap in the market. There was products that I wanted that weren't out there. So I just searched, I used the old school Amazon method of looking at, the category and looking at the best sellers in a category and seeing how many of them there were and say, oh, okay, wow, there's only one other product that kind of does exactly what I want. That has not too many reviews. And so I was able to source a similar product, make some improvements, And then I just, every year or so I'd add a new product. And that's kind of what got me there. So it was a little bit of finding a gap in the market. And it was also aligned with a passion of mine, which is running.
It's amazing that you can not only, find a product that sells really well, but also because you have a passion for it, it just makes it that much more fruitful, I guess, when you're seeing the business take off the way it has. Now, because the business is doing so great at this time, James, why is it that you've decided you'd like to sell it now?
Yeah, good question. I find myself not having enough time to give the business the attention it deserves. It's kind of running on autopilot right now. There's obviously work that needs to be done to make sure the inventory is filled up to the right levels, to make sure the PPC campaigns are running correctly. But I'm not able to dedicate enough time and attention to the brand to let it grow. I find myself with other business interests that just stretch the amount of time I have too far. So it's time to pass it to somebody who can do the brand justice.
Okay. Yeah. Completely understandable. We do have, quite a few sellers that want to see the business succeed, but really don't have the ability to scale it to the level that it deserves. So completely understandable on that front. Now, was there anything that you learned while growing this business that you plan on applying to future or current projects down the road?
I've probably learned 1,000,001 things starting this business. I didn't know anything about the Amazon ecosystem when I started. So, knowing how Amazon works now kind of gives you a broad skill that you can apply to almost any business. I also learned the importance of just finding something that you love to do. So I think it's important that you like what you're doing. I like this business quite a bit. Specifically to these products, I learned 1.5 million lessons that I'm happy to share with anyone who wants to purchase the company. But yeah, I'm sure I've learned enough skills to translate into any other project that I do.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, on the flip side of that, James, was there anything that you tried with this business and it just didn't give you the ROI that you were expecting?
Yeah, there was one product that I launched that I really was excited about. We still have it on board, but it just never has picked up enough traction on Amazon. And I think I made the mistake of taking a product that I really wanted to see, that I really liked, and applying my own judgment and opinion to the Amazon world. Whereas I didn't start out by looking at the search volumes, how many people were actually looking to purchase something with these type of keywords. So I think the biggest mistake I made while launching this product was not doing the correct Amazon specific research and basing it too much on what I thought was a really nice product. I still think it's a nice product, and I don't necessarily think it's something that needs to be taken out of the range. Yet I wouldn't make the same mistake again launching a product. I would reverse engineer how I launch products. And it all starts with what people are searching for and what is currently on the marketplace. So don't get confused with what you think is a nice product versus what people are actually looking for.
Yeah, we've heard that quite a few times actually, where it's something that you think is going to be really great, but the customer demand is just not completely there yet. So yeah, I completely understand that.
The conversions are good, everything is good, but people aren't searching for it. I think as you become more experienced in the Amazon world, you maybe get a little bit cocky and you think that, because we had launched previously 5 or 6 products that were quite successful. And so I thought I can launch anything and make it successful. And I learned my lesson. So it really does start with what people are looking for, what people want. You can't tell them what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. On the subject of what people are searching for on Amazon, would you say that a majority of your traffic is coming from just organic search in Amazon, or do you also have a lot of PPC or maybe advertising traffic that's coming into your listings?
Yeah, sure. I believe the sales split is 70-30. So 70% of our sales come from organic searches and 30% from PPC.
Okay. And in terms of marketing, I noticed you also have the domain and the website that you're also generating a small amount of sales. Are you doing anything else in terms of marketing with, say, like the social media accounts or maybe even just some of the marketing that you're doing on other channels?
No, it's not something I've had the time to take advantage of. And I think it's something that if somebody wants to take this business and run with it, they can apply whatever skill base they have outside of Amazon and really do quite well. But it's not something I have the bandwidth to do. So no, we haven't done that. It's a regret of mine.
Okay. Well, it's a great opportunity for a potential buyer to come in and maybe even scale those channels further if that happens to be a core skill set that they already have. Now, hypothetically speaking, if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways that you would personally try and grow it?
Sure. I would launch more products. So I think we have a couple in the pipeline that we've discussed with manufacturers, with current manufacturers that we use. So it's fairly simple to go out and get the sizing correct, get the colors correct, and launch more products, more in the same line of what we've done. We found that to be a pretty replicable process, taking a product that is similar to one we have, making a couple tweaks to it, maybe adding widget A or adding a different design slightly so it looks like a different product, or maybe even just a slight material difference with the same design before. Basically allowing us to take advantage of all of the knowledge that we've built up and can share with a potential buyer, which is, this is how you size the product. This is how you avoid returns with the sizing. We already know this product gets the right amount of searches and that we've been able to sell, 4 or 5 other products that are very similar. So I would launch more products. One, I don't find myself having the time to do that right now because when you launch a product, you really need to kind of take it from A to Z, and it's more time intensive than maintaining what you have. I would also finish up my enhanced brand content and product pages. I recently undergone a renovation to the pages to put in enhanced brand content, update the copy a little bit. And I've seen a huge jump in conversions. I'm kicking myself for not doing it earlier, but in the last 6 weeks, our conversions are higher than they have been, all of last year at any point, really. So I think it's been a big revelation to me that the enhanced brand content actually is quite good. We're not finished there, so I would keep working until that's, as close to perfected as possible. I would also start running more PPC through brand content versus just sponsored. I think 80 to 90% of the PPC we do is through sponsored products. The reason is it's just a little bit easier. You target certain keywords and you kind of let it run. Whereas the brand, you have to spend more time intensive on doing the creative behind it. I would also take product videos. We don't have any product videos on our page. And I think from everything I'm hearing from other sellers is that product videos helps increase your conversion. So I think that's an easy win. And then lastly, I think I would move to Amazon Global Logistics to simplify the whole supply chain process. Those would be the projects I would have at the top of my list.
Yeah, it's really great that you already have that roadmap established for a potential buyer. And I'm sure any buyer that's out there looking at this listing can also see the value that you've set up for them in wanting to see this business succeed and kind of the roadmap you've established for them. Now, can you describe, your process and how you're getting inventory from your suppliers to Amazon's warehouse or wherever you happen to be storing the inventory until it's ready to ship out?
Sure. Well, it's almost like there's a pre-COVID and a post-COVID way of doing things. Pre-COVID, we would just ship everything into FBA directly, or that's what we would try to do. So we would use a third-party logistics that would take the goods from the warehouse in China, and they would, apply the labels to the boxes and send it basically directly to FBA, either using an LTL shipment or with a UPS FedEx. Post-COVID, we had the warehouse limitations in Amazon, which I'm sure anyone who was a seller in 2020 probably felt the pain at some point. So we rejigged how we did it. So now the process is 3 times a year, I'll go to my factory with an order. In April, I'll go to them and I'll try to make an order that will projected to last me through the rest of 2021, for example. I've already done that. In May, the products will be inspected. In June, the products will ship. They'll arrive at the 3PL in July. And now we have a warehouse who holds the products and we send them in basically to fill up to 90 days of inventory. We have a good Amazon inventory score, but I found that I've actually been able to cut down on Amazon warehouse fees. So I think the business is a little bit more profitable because of it. What we do is bi-weekly, I'll go in and I'll check the inventory levels and just top them up to what they need to be. And then several months later, we'll go and make another order based on the sales trends for the year. We'll say, okay, although we made this order in April that we thought would cover us through 2021, actually, we realized in July that we're selling, 15% more of a certain SKU or 40% more of a different SKU. We actually need another top up. And then we'll just rinse and repeat that process throughout the year. Then towards the end of the year, in order to beat the Chinese New Year order cutoff, we tend to order in mid-October. And that order is to, again, top up supplies and make sure we're kind of covered through April of the following year. Does that all make sense? I hope I didn't go too much in detail there.
No, not at all. Yeah, that was great. The more detail you go into really, helps us get a better understanding. And it actually kind of leads right into my next question for you on the typical work that you're doing on a weekly basis. So outside of inventory management, could you walk us through maybe some of the typical tasks or the operations you're performing on the business at this time on a weekly basis?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to spend on the business. It's mostly on autopilot. We spent a lot of time in 2018, 2019, really nailing down the PPC. So it kind of runs itself. There can be some seasonality to the business. So it's important to kind of check in during, once a month or so and look at what's going on in the PPC during the off season. You don't want to spend quite as much money and your A cost is going to be a little bit higher. So once a month, I'll go in, I'll just check the PPC, make sure there's no outliers, there's no campaigns running rogue, so to speak. Other than that, it's really kind of checking in on that bi-weekly basis and making sure we have inventory stores. And then 3 times a year, communicating to the factory what we expect and what we want out of a new order. Other than that, there's not a lot going into it. I said earlier in January, we made some improvements in enhanced brand content, and I outsourced that work. I found somebody who I thought could do a good job design team who knew the Amazon layout and the landscape. So, I wasn't too hands-on with that other than giving them a directive of what I wanted. The business is pretty much autopilot at this point, unfortunately. I think somebody who comes in and really can spend a little bit more time on it can take it to the next level. But if someone doesn't want to do that, the business runs itself.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, do you feel that there's maybe a specific skill set that a buyer should have prior to acquiring this business? Or do you feel that a majority of the operations or maybe the workload that you're performing can be learned during the transition period to the new owner?
I believe what we're doing can be taught to somebody. Anytime you have somebody with Amazon background, Amazon is going to help just in case anything unexpected comes up. It just helps to have that kind of background. But there's nothing that we can't do to teach somebody. And I'm quite hands-on with it, as much as a potential buyer would want me to be. I've exited an Amazon business before, and I didn't know the person who bought it. We've become friends since. We still leave each other voicemails and WhatsApps and stuff like that if he has any questions. And we're past a year now. So I've been quite hands-on because I want to see the business succeed. So, we've taught him everything we could about the business, and he's been able to kind of pick it up and carry it on. Now, if somebody had a Shopify experience, Google Ads, social media marketing, that kind of thing might help take the business to the next level because it's not something we've really had the opportunity to do. So yeah, if you were picking a perfect skill set, a little bit of Amazon knowledge would be great, but we can teach somebody the gaps to fill in. And anyone who had the off Amazon knowledge, that really might help the business to the next level. Potentially somebody who had some supply chain knowledge so they knew how to get the goods from A to Z, it would help.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And I'm sure our potential buyers can also see the value in you wanting to make sure that they succeed with the business and wanting to help them along the process, in the transition period, to make sure that they are fully understandable of the business model itself. Now, on the flip side of that, what do you feel are maybe some of the potential risks associated with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
That's a good question. The business has been operating really since 2014, and we haven't ever seen a large dip in sales. Of course, you have good months and bad months, but on a whole, if you look at it, the business just ticks over and grows each year. It wouldn't be anything outside of the normal Amazon risks. With the COVID, that presented quite a few problems. So I guess you could say there's a risk of Amazon warehouses, going back into that severe inventory storage limits, or the supply chain kind of gets bogged up. I'm sure anyone who has an Amazon business knows how difficult it was just to get UPS to pick up a shipment from a warehouse and deliver it on time. So those supply chain risks exist. We haven't experienced any increase in duties or anything like that with the Trump tariffs, but that's always a risk as well that could come in the future. But hopefully we don't see any more escalations in the trade war, and if anything, it's a de-escalation. So I guess those are some of the risks that you would have.
Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense as well. Now, James, are you willing to commit to a non-compete, meaning any future or current projects you have, you'll stay out of this specific niche for the next 2 years?
Yes, 100%. I understand the importance of that. Whoever purchases this business has to have a runway, and they don't want, even more competitors kind of going at them. So yeah, 100%.
Perfect. And then how much support are you willing to offer potential buyers? Are you going with the typical 30 days of email and Skype support, or did you have something in addition that you would like to add on to that?
I'd be willing to discuss that with any potential buyer at the time. I'm more than willing to give someone more than 30 days if we're not able to give them everything we've had. And there's also, the legal contract of it and what we promise we'll give. But in 6 months' time, if someone has a question about the supplier, or maybe they think they want to run a new product by me, I'm always happy to talk to them. I want the business to succeed. So I'm definitely willing to offer more than the standard 30 days to help someone out. I don't imagine it's going to take a ton of time to get someone integrated.
Yeah, that's really great to hear that you're willing to go above and beyond the average support range to really see the business succeed. And I'm sure potential buyers out there that are listening to this call can also see the value in that as well, too. Now, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout where you'll receive a large portion of the sales price up front and then a few payments over the course of a couple months after that, closing out the deal?
Yeah, of course. I'm actually quite bullish on the future of the business. So I would expect the sales to continue to go up. So I think it would be in my interest as well to have some sort of earnout. It's not something where I expect the numbers to go down. We're trending up in 2021, and March and April have been some of the best March and April months that we've ever had. So yeah, I'm open to some sort of structure.
Awesome. Now, just a few sideline questions for you, James. So was there any software or tools that really helped you at the start of running or managing this business?
Yeah, great question. I think I probably used all of them. I did Helium 10. You do all the Jungle Scout. I think there's probably been a few in between. There was, I tried 4 or 5 different email follow-up marketing softwares. I think we did Feedback Genius. There's a couple along the way too. I would just try, anytime something new would come out that I thought might have been improvement to what was currently on the market, I would try it out. So yeah, those are the big softwares we use. The standard stuff, your keyword rankings, your email follow-up sequences. I used a PPC software at some point, which I just thought was okay, but it did help me optimize some campaigns. And then I got rid of the software and the campaigns are still running well. So yeah, those are some of them. I'm sure I can think of more if I sit here. Any Amazon seller worth what their salt has probably tried 100 different programs that might help them. I think some of those softwares are really helpful. And you need to have, at a base, you need to have, a Helium 10 Jungle Scout, something like that to know where your keywords are ranking. But I think I've learned, at least, you can certainly overspend on that kind of thing. It doesn't actually drive the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And solid mention as well, too. It's some great tools to use, and you might as well use the tools that are out there to help you, succeed with the business. So it's really great to hear that. Now, what advice would you give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
Maybe when I first started the business, I just put a lot more into it. I think if I had more money and more funding at the beginning, I'd be sitting here with a lot more assets. So yeah, I wish I could go back in time. If I could do one thing differently, I would go back in time, 2012, really, 2014 when I started it, and I would triple down. I started these businesses without much capital at the front. I would, beg, steal, and borrow to get more cash to start the business. And whatever I did, I would just make it bigger and better from the start.
Yeah, really good advice. And I'm sure our listeners can also see the value in that is, don't hold back when you've got something that's winning, and triple down.
100%. Yeah, exactly. And I think people are going to be, in 3 years, people are going to say the same thing. Mm-hmm. They're going to say, back in 2021, when it was easy to do Amazon businesses, I should have tripled down. Now it's tougher than it was. And, it's just always going to be like that. It's like the real estate market, right? You kind of always wish you could go back, I guess, and put more money into houses when they were at lower value. I think people are going to want to do the same thing in 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure, as you had mentioned, thinking back, I'm sure a lot of Amazon FBA sellers are thinking, that might be in like a home product. They might say, if I could just go back to 2020 when everyone was staying at home. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would have started a home gym brand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe just put all my money in Bitcoin and not done it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Awesome. Well, final question for you, James, to wrap this up. So, putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think that your business is worth buying?
Yeah, it's a great question. Unlike a lot of Amazon businesses that are for sale, this business is established. It's older. It's not fly by night. We didn't use a bunch of bots to go out there and drive our ranking up and create kind of a false sense of security because something was successful in the short term. We've been running this business since 2014, and it's ticked over year on year. We have some great suppliers, and everything kind of runs itself at this point. So someone who's willing to put in a bit of elbow grease and someone who has the capacity to do it can take this from what is, a relatively small FBA business to something that's double in size within a couple of years. So I think it's proven more than most businesses that are on the market.
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. And I'm sure our potential buyers out there that are listening to this call can also see the value and the foundation that you've created with this business model for them, and wanting to see it succeed and having the roadmap for them are all just really great assets for them to take the baton and ultimately carry it on to the finish line. So really awesome to talk to you today about this business, James. And was there anything else that you'd like to share that I might have missed in this call?
No, I don't think so. I really enjoyed it though. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, it was really great to talk to you about this business and, seeing all the work that you've put into it. And, hopefully, down the road, we can look back and say, it was a great opportunity and really great to see this business see it succeed and carry on to its full potential.
Well, yeah, I just look forward to working with whoever the buyer is and helping make sure that they're as successful as they can be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this listing getting sold for you here in the near future. And thanks again for jumping on the call.
Great. Thanks, Brandon. Take care.
Thank you. And all right, everyone. So thanks for listening. To learn more and to see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 52693. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.